Almost finished the master's degree, got back from fishing, family reunion, house repairs. You know, really lazy, quiet summer.
Yeah.
Crazy.
What's going on?
If you're going to play sounds, then you weren't playing any sounds?
Not that I know of.
You sure you didn't open up a window with the...
I mean, I don't think so. My sound should be turned off.
You could, the sound on your machine's turned off and in the Hangout?
Let me, closing. All right, try that one more time. Sorry if I do it again. Because it's organic. Every time I hear feedback, I hate it.
Yeah, you must have been producing sound from your machine somehow.
My machine is muted. Sounds
Off the microphone.
Let's tell you guys.
Back here. I was. I have. Yeah. No, I'm not. Thank you. Hey, how are you? I am. How about you? Well, that's the yeah. Notice. But I need to understand what that's pretty inspiring.
I do.
Yeah.
Close enough to remember doing papers. Have a shot. Is your mic on?
problems.
Oh, I didn't sign in.
You might not have to see. It was nice to once they understand.
Do you want to try using the VGA connector instead of the HDMI?
Yeah, thank you.
That is good. And we'll listen to us and actually create something.
We did.
We try yours, Dan? Yeah.
I'm not one of the red days. Room 167.
Well, 166 is the.
Yeah, 167.
I know. Why do we need a six?
It's got over. Some other country. Trombone.
All the signs. I would never say.
It was good, Jackson. Where'd you use the music?
Seems like there's always something, just when we get the first problem solved, another one comes up, we've been presenting the same way all day. And then some weird audio problem.
It's pretty small for everybody, yeah?
Yeah.
But it's like, information.
Yeah, I know the truth, but it's still a fact. What I say is the fact that somebody.
Better?
That's better.
All right, hi, my name's Nadira Mason. Anybody not seen me yet? All right. How many of you were in the Google Drive 101 session right before this? About half of you, okay. So, I'm either gonna end up talking over somebody's head, or I'm gonna end up telling you something you already know. One thing about these technical sessions where we're really showing somebody how to use a particular tool is that it's impossible to get everybody inside a single net. So I'm gonna show some things, I'm gonna have you guys do some things where some people are gonna feel like, oh my God, I have no clue what's going on, and other people are gonna feel like, yeah, I already know how to do that. So I'm sorry for both of those spectrums. I'm gonna try to aim at the middle, and you guys just need to stop and ask me questions if you have questions. Sound good? Okay. So how many people in here work with me? Okay. Would you guys call me organized? Is that a word you use to describe me? Okay. Which makes this hilarious that I'm teaching a session called Staying Organized inside a Google Drive. And yet, as ironic as that is, I might be the perfect person to talk about the idea of organization inside a Google Drive because I'm seriously disorganized. And yet I still manage to function inside a Google Drive really, really well. And that's because the way that Google Drive works allows for people like me to function on a day-to-day basis. So, you guys do those typing drills that your typing teacher had you do? Some of you, if you're around my age or older. Remember how you had to like type the same thing over and over again, and eventually you got muscle memory? I'm gonna have you guys do a few things over and over again, and I'm gonna ask you some questions over and over again, not with the intent to alienate or condescend, but with the intent for you to walk out of here remembering how to do stuff. And I found that repetition is a great way to have people remember something after they walk out of a room. So it's obvious, I hope, that you're looking at Google Drive. Yeah, this is my Google Drive. This is the one that I use at work every day. How do you guys know, just from looking at this screen, that we're looking at my UAF account?
The University of Alaska in the upper left-hand corner is kind of a clue.
Right. So I know where I'm at. This is about orientation. How do I know I'm in the right account? And how do I know I'm in the right place? University of Alaska. And I also see this picture here. it's good to use a different profile picture for all of your accounts. I actually use the same picture for 2 different accounts, which is dumb. So don't do that. Use a different picture. I also know that I'm in my UAF account because of this picture right here. I can also point to that and click, and I can see which account that I'm in. If I click here, it's going to take me to a completely different drive. I'm not going to see the same documents. Matter of fact, I'll only see one document. But I want to show you guys my incredibly messy work things. This list is, this grid view of my drive is pretty useful. I can scroll down through here and I can look and see, folders, what color they are. I can see inside of documents actually. I mean, it's very tiny, but I can see it, right? There's some information I can't get from this particular view, however, and the way that I switch views is I click this button. See how it changed my view? Now I have access to different information. What does this information tell me? Why bother switching to this list view? Most recent as in last modified here. Yeah, so I've got a list of dates here. I've also got the owner. Wait a minute, this is my drive though. Why do I see documents that other people own? They've shared them with me, exactly. And then here, this is no different really than the grid view. File size, apparently they're not listing file sizes either. Or maybe they only do that for, yeah, they only do that for some of the documents. Yeah.
So how did you get like the University of Alaska logo thing up there?
So whoever creates the Google Apps for Education installation for your district or school, whoever the administrator is, the person who has the job to do that, in their administration panel, which you don't have access to, they're able to put a logo in that particular position. So the administrators at UH statewide, who are the people who run our Google Apps for Education installation, they put that logo there. So at the Fairbanks North Star Borough School District, there's somebody whose job it is to be the administrator for your Google Apps for Education installation. That person chose to put a different logo. It's the FNSB logo that's up in that upper left-hand corner. If your school, for some reason, or your district does not have a logo, they can do that. They might not know that they can do that. Or they may have chosen not to. They may have chosen not to brand it. It's useful because it helps you know where you are. So how do I get back to that grid view? Click like that. Oh, this waffle?
No,
Nope.
no, the other
waffle.
thing down there, yeah.
Tiny waffle. Little four button waffle. Grid, list. Grid, list.
And can you set like the default of which ones you want?
It's going to remember whichever the last one we're on is. There's not really a default. It's just one or the other. So, I would like for everybody in here, if you have your drive open, to click back and forth between grid and list. Do it a couple of times. Make sure you know where that button is. And again, why do I want the list over the grid sometimes? What does the grid tell me, or what does the list tell me that the grid doesn't tell me?
Last modified.
Right. So if that's the information that I need it quickly, I want the list. If I want to actually see inside of the documents, especially if I'm looking for a picture, the grid view is much better. I can just scroll through and see what I have inside, right? I can look through here. This is especially helpful if you're like me and you don't always title your documents well. Sometimes I give things goofy names and then I'll do the same kind of document 6 months later and I get a different kind of name. Our course schedules are something that I often do that with. And so what I do is I switch to this grid view and I scroll through until I see the specific kinds of documents that I'm looking for. I know that that's that calendar that I do every semester for faculty members. And so I can just scroll through here. Even if I can't remember the names, oh look, here's another one, here's one, here's one. So grid view is great for that. I can just scroll through and look inside of things.
Where is the magic button? To switch between
Yep, right up here at the top. It's either going to look like this button, a little four grid, or it's going to look like a little hamburger bulleted list button. So grid button, bulleted list button. Make sure you remember where that button is. Switch back and forth a couple times. Okay. So if you guys will look as I'm scrolling through here, there's a couple of things where it doesn't show me inside of the document, it just shows me the kind of document that it is. What that means is that Google Drive is having kind of a hard time knowing what's inside of that document. It doesn't really know how to read it. See how this one says PDF? That means that Google Drive doesn't really know how to read that PDF for some reason. I don't know what that reason is, but I want you guys to watch the difference between when I click on something that it knows what it is and something that doesn't. So this document here, this brochure deep blue, that's also a PDF. I'm going to click on that one and see how it opens it up in a larger view. It sees it, it knows what it is. I'm going to double click on this one. And it's telling me it doesn't know how to open it. And it gives me this option to do two things. I can either, one, download that document and open it using something on my computer, like Adobe Reader or Adobe Illustrator, something that already knows how to read a PDF, or it says connect more apps. I'm not going to dig into it right now, but we're going to look later at what happens when I click connect more apps, because there are ways to amplify the functionality of your drive using additional apps. They're like little add-ons that you can stick into Google Drive that allow you to see and do different kinds of things. We're just talking about basic functions right now. So you can see this one. You can't really see this one. I'm showing you guys this because you're eventually going to run into this problem, and I don't want you to freak out. I just want you to know that that's normal. Google Drive can read some documents, and it can't read others. If you see just PDF there, it's probably because it doesn't recognize, it can't read it. As we scroll through here, at this point, I'm guessing that hopefully many of you have started picking up on the kinds of logos that Google Apps for Education is using to identify certain kinds of things. This yellow button, what's that one? Slides or presentation. I mean, it's basically the equivalent of PowerPoint. This one with the lines. It's specifically a Google Doc. That's not a Word doc. That's specifically a Google Doc. This one, it says PDF on it, so I'm just going to skip over that. What about this little, this one, spreadsheet? And this one, almost like spreadsheets, but it looks a little different. Green, it's got two little white lines. Forms. Forms and spreadsheets are pretty intimately connected, which is why they look so much alike. Okay. So it's always a little difficult to decide which direction I want to take you guys in to show you stuff. So I'm gonna take both at this point. So we talked about switching back and forth between views. There's a lot of other stuff going on here that you're looking at that you're not sure how I did it, you're not sure why it looks that way. Stuff you might have questions like, where do you guys want to go from here in terms of looking at my drive? What's the difference between my folders and your folders? Mine are different colors, right? Yeah.
Is there a way that when my students send me a project, if that project is from, say, first period versus second, it will automatically go into a different folder?
You should be using Classroom for something like that. That's the best way to do that, because what happens if you're using Google Classroom is that it automatically creates folders inside of your Google Drive, where if you create an assignment and say, here's your assignment for first period, and they submit the assignment via Google Classroom, Google Drive automatically funnels it into the right class period.
Okay, if I didn't want to use Classroom, which I'm sure is sacrilegious, is there a way that it could go into a folder anyway?
Your student would you would create a folder for period 1 and a folder for period 2, and you have to tell your students, convince your students to, well, you don't have to do it, but you can share those folders with your students, and they have to know which one to share, like which one to dump the document into.
They wouldn't see period 2 if they were only sharing out.
Right, so I would just share that one folder with one class and the one.
They know.
Exactly, and they get an email. So they're not going to hear it wrong.
Excellent, thank you.
You can do that by combining Gmail's filters with something that sends it to Drive, the right folder, where you have a filter on the name of the student.
That might be a little more advanced than this particular session. And as far as I know, I don't think that Gmail and Drive are hooked up exactly like that so that it's automated to what he's talking about. But that's a slightly more advanced topic. But let's talk a little bit about the colors in here. So you guys can see that I've got everything color coded. I've got a bunch of red folders, and I've got some that aren't red. Any guess as to why I colored some red and some green?
They're related information or something.
They are. I mean, just from looking at the titles, can you tell what my red folders are? Oh, yeah, I guess it's, I'm sorry, of course, yeah. I'm starting to need these more and more often, so I should be more sympathetic to
The
that.
classes you took versus the classes you teach. The red are the ones that you are a student in, and the green are the ones that you teach. I don't know.
Close. The red ones are actually ones that are associated solely with work.
Okay.
So I am one of those unfortunate souls that tends to combine her personal life with her professional life, and I've got a couple of folders in here that have nothing to do with work. And when I'm scrolling through here, I want to make sure that I know which folders are work and which folders are personal.
True detective isn't work?
Yeah, there seems to be no distinction between the two anymore. There's some other slightly odd things that are going on with my folders that might look a little alien to you guys. I know it's really tiny, but sometimes they have little people on them and sometimes they don't. Take a guess what that is.
Share.
This is a really important thing for you to keep an eye on. We've talked about this. If you've been in sessions with me before, specific tool sessions, you'll know that that sharing and permissions thing is a really important issue that we need to be both aware of and in control of. So make sure that if you're putting documents into a folder that you don't want anybody else to see, that folder better not have a little people on it, because that little people is somebody else and they can see inside your folder. Or make sure you know exactly who that person is. So, okay, so what do I have to do to figure out who these folders are shared with? I gotta click on it, get all the way in there, open up that share button, open up that panel. I gotta go through all those steps. I like it. So if I right click on it, it gives me this context menu here. You can see this. Open with, new folder, share, get link, move to, add star. I could click on this share button and it's going to pull up that panel, and when I click on your advanced, I could do it that way. But let me show you a slightly easier way to do that. This little I button. I was about to ask you what the I button means, but I pointed to it and it brought up that tooltip, view details. So why don't you guys try this? Click on either a document or folder. Don't click into it. Don't double click it. Just click it once so that it's highlighted. And then click this I. What are you looking at when you click that I? What is your information over here telling you?
If you're offline, nothing.
If you're offline, that's a problem. It's probably not gonna show you
I
anything.
worked until I discovered it was offline. It's okay.
It's rats.
If I shared it, I shared.
So that's not what mine is showing. Do you guys see what mine is showing?
Yeah. It
I
shows
shared
who
5
you
items.
shared left to right. Right.
Because I shared 5 items, I'm going to keep scrolling here. And look, I can see the people that I've shared it with, and I can also see their level of permissions. I can see that I've shared this folder with Dallas Budden. She can edit it. Sean, he can edit it. Casey Byrne, she can edit it. And there's show all, because there's more. Because we share some of these folders with virtually our entire office sometimes. So a lot of people have access to this folder. And I can see that really easily by clicking what button? The I, right. Click on another folder or another document. And theoretically that activity panel is going to stay up, okay, until you close it out. Some people operate with this thing open all the time. Here's something else I want to point out. I can either look at activity, where I can click right here and see details. This is another way to see who I'm sharing the document with, as long as they have profile pics. I highly recommend profile pics, by the way, for your sake and for your students' sake. I can see that this is a Google Drive folder. This is really important. It's possible for you to have folders that are not necessarily located right inside your drive. They might only be shared with you. This is an important way to see where that thing is. If you're creating folders within folders, subfolders, this is a good way to see what you, like where in the hierarchy you have your folders located. Here's another really important piece of this. This folder is inside my drive. It's obviously shared with other people, but what does that tell you? Do you guys see this at all? It says owner Chris Lott. That's not me. Somebody else created this folder. It's in my drive, and I've been putting things into it, sometimes even taking things out of it, but I don't actually own the folder. Chris Lott created the folder. So he could theoretically boot me out and unshare me, right? And I would lose my access to that folder.
You delete the folder and then it's deleted on your side. He deletes it off his side.
If he deletes it on his, as long as I've said, keep it in my drive, I still have a copy of that folder in my drive, but if he makes changes to his folder, it doesn't sync with my folder anymore.
Or her.
Anymore. So basically, they don't talk to each other anymore. Once the owner.
I'm 99% sure that's true. God, this is one of those things that I want to test out.
Delete something of yours.
Go ahead, try it. Let's see what happens. Well, I could try to shoot. Remember how I told you guys during the keynote that I was gonna not have an answer and I was gonna look like an idiot? This is one of those cases. The permissions are not easy. They're not easy to manage. Once you start sharing folders and folders within folders, it gets a little complicated. We share enough folders at work that so far this hasn't really been an issue. Somebody completely deleting a folder that I need access to, I don't think that people are usually in the habit of deleting things typically. Chances are you guys are not going to run into this particular problem until you've been using Drive for a couple of years and you have as many documents and folders and shared things as I do. And I'm just going to leave it to you guys to test run things and see what happens once you get in there. So details and activity. Okay. Dan, I want to look at something else, but I want to go back to that list view. How do I get to the list view?
Where's that little flag?
This little flag, right? Okay. Just making sure you remember that.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
If you delete a folder that you are the owner of, do the people you shared it with is gone from them?
That's what we were just talking about. I think as long as you've added it to your drive, even if I delete the folder, I believe you still have it in your drive. Okay. You know what? Dang it. Let me just find a shared folder. We're going to figure this out. So, colleagues, be prepared for me to delete something that I shouldn't have deleted. Okay, look, here's the Legos file. So I've got a bunch of pictures of Legos for an activity that we do with faculty. You can see that that's shared, because I can always get the deleted file back. I'm not going to sweat this, right? It's going to go into my trash, but I can always pull it out of the trash. So how do I unshare this? Anybody got any ideas? What would you click if you were going to try to...
The little person's head, maybe?
Yeah. So if I just wanted to unshare this rather than delete it, I'm going to click this guy. And then see, this is not only shared with somebody, it's public on the web. Right? So it's got the highest level of permissions. So I can just change that. But what we're going to try instead is we're just going to try deleting the folder altogether. See what happens. So that might not tell me whether it actually goes away. Okay, so this is why I think that it still exists, even though I deleted it out of my drive. That little note said that it's still accessible by collaborators, which means that I'm just getting it out of my site, basically. I'm not actually deleting it. If I really wanted to actually delete it, I would have to change the permissions first and then delete it. Does that make sense? You guys are totally not going to remember this once you walk out of the room, are you? Maybe, some people will. Those of you who don't think you're going to remember this, how are you going to find out the answers to your Google Drive questions when you, like next week?
YouTube.
Yes, YouTube it. Awesome. Okay. Okay, let's talk about colors for just a second. The color coding, I'm assuming that many of you will want to color code things for some reason or another, so you can keep student folders separate from administrative folders, so that you can keep period 1 folders separate from period 6 folders, so that you can keep meeting notes separate from classroom notes. You're going to want to color code for some reason. So right click, or if you don't have right click set up, command click. I'm sorry, not command click, option click. So everybody go ahead and try that. Either right click or option click on a folder or a document. I'm sorry, on just a folder. We're talking about folders. Everybody done that? Right click or option click? Anybody need help? You guys are getting this context menu here is what we call these. Guess what we're going to click? Change color. Change color. So I'm gonna choose green for that one. So option click or right click. Here's another way to get that context menu. Stoplight. Make sure you have a folder selected and click the stoplight. How many of you are running into the problem where you don't even have anything in your drive yet, and that's why you can't change the color of a folder? Anybody running into that problem? One or two of you? Okay. Since it's only a couple of people, if you want to talk to me after this session, I'll be glad to help you with that. Okay, everybody change the color of a folder? Cool. I would like to show you something inside of the settings that will be useful later on. Totally not a good segue here. This is a totally different subject. That little cog, that's settings, of course. You just buzz through here. Settings, you can download Drive. Those of us on the instructional design team, I think most of us have downloaded Drive. So that there's basically a hard copy on our computer, it's on our hard drive, and it's synced with the online version. Most of us don't use that very often because most of us tend to have internet connections most of the time. If you do not always have a good internet connection, you might want to download Drive to your hard drive because it's going to it basically keeps a copy on your hard drive is what it does. That way, if you're offline, you can take things out or add things in. Editing is limited or maybe even non-existent, but I mean, you can still work a little bit within there. As long as you go home and have your document open, you can still work on it, and once you get back online, it'll sync back up. It's worth playing with. Yeah.
Does it sync automatically, or do you have to go back in and tell it?
It syncs automatically.
To the copy on your drive as well?
Yes, those two things will sync up. They'll stay synced together. I could probably spend 15 minutes showing you guys how to turn the offline editing on and all that stuff. I just want you to know it's here for now because we don't have a 3-hour session, it's just a 1-hour session.
So if you download it to your hard drive, can you make changes or edit? Like if you're writing a paper, you could add on more, and then the next day, like let's say your phone doesn't have internet like a student, and then they come back to school, can we just take that document, put it into Google Drive, and it'll give the edited document, or do you have to rename it? Or see what I'm saying? Because like if you're a student at school with internet and you go home to no internet,
Right.
they might want to edit their paper or work on it, and then come back to school.
It's very easy if it's a Word document.
Okay.
If it's a Google document, you might have a hard time opening that document up at home.
Okay.
That part is glitchy. So as long as it's a Word document, yeah, you can make changes to it. When you get back online, it'll update the version. So, so I'm sorry I'm glossing over that. There really is, it might be worth YouTubing that particular issue, you know, how to download Drive and how to sync Drive, that kind of thing. Keyboard shortcuts, if you're into that sort of thing, those are listed there, and help. That's always a thing. But I just wanted to show you guys the settings real quick, because I've run into a problem a couple of times that has caused me a great deal of grief. If you check this box says convert uploaded files to Google Docs editor format. If you check that box, anytime you upload a Word document into your Google Docs or into your Google Drive, it's going to convert it to a Word document. If you upload a PDF, I think we'll even try to convert the PDF to a doc format. It will try to convert files into formats that it recognizes. I don't like that. I would rather be the one to choose whether it's a Word document or a Google Doc. right? I want to have control over that. And so my box is unchecked. If for some reason you get down the road, you notice that Google Drive is hassling you, like for some reason it keeps changing your documents when you put things in there, it keeps changing files, that's probably why. So settings, and then uncheck that box. And this, I have this checked. This is what keeps your hard drive, your Google Drive located on your computer synced with the online version. You have to have that checked.
So you have to do both. First, you have to download it to your computer
And make sure
check
this is
that
checked.
box.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
You can also change what Drive looks like. It's got 3 different settings: comfortable, cozy, and compact. Right now, I believe, I don't remember which one I'm in. So let's look at, that's comfortable. Switch to compact. Now, if you look at compact, see how it squeezed everything in? I'm not a big fan of that, but just know that that's there. Okay, so tell me what you guys think are going to be barriers to you using Google Drive. Yes.
Just one thing that always bugs me is the My Drive. You see the arrow there on the left.
Yep.
Right? I like to kind of see the folders all lined up, and I was wondering if there's a way where you can just see it all there, all the folders, without having to click on that every time.
I think it defaults to the closed, right? I don't think that there's a setting that keeps that open.
It seems like it takes more clicks to find things than I would like. And that would be an easy thing if it was always open. You could just click right on the folder.
Yeah, I don't, well, let's see. Maybe I can right click on it, but right click doesn't do anything. Do my colleagues know a trick for that? Anybody? I'm sorry, what was the question? Trying to keep this,
Expanded.
yeah, the expanded, like, can you turn that into the default? I don't think so.
Okay.
You know, it's tricky for Google right now because they're getting to a point where they want to give people all the features that they want, but they are also verging on getting very close to something we call feature creep, which is where, like Microsoft Word, you have so many options, so many little buttons and things that you can do that it's overwhelming for new users. Like, they can't figure out what the heck they're supposed to do to, like, make a bold letter. You know what I mean? Like, it just gets so difficult. So they're right on the cusp, I think, of becoming victims of feature creep right now, and so it's tricky, I would imagine. I mean, if I were working for them, I'd be like, maybe some things should just be default, you know? So it's tricky. There are going to be some things that just irritate you. I actually dislike the fact that the folders are this little. I would rather see slightly larger folders. Like, I don't know why that bugs me so much. Yeah, it's weird. What else? Other stuff that's going to prevent you guys from using this on a regular basis. Where are you getting hung up? You're not? You're all going to start using this as soon as you get back?
Well, Chrome is a big one, figuring out that I had to use Chrome. It just doesn't work on
It doesn't work on Firefox for you? I know some people, and you use Firefox a lot. Maybe it's Kristen. Somebody on our team uses Firefox a lot, and I don't think it gives them a whole lot of grief. What was it doing for you?
I just can't edit the document. It messes it up. It doesn't type what I type.
I used to use
I wish
it.
I had an answer for you.
I get hung up, or got myself hung up when I tried to use Dropbox and Drive. And then I had something in Dropbox, and something in hard drive, and Drive just had so much functionality, eventually I just started using Dropbox.
I almost never use Dropbox anymore.
Test out, one who was using Firefox, test out Safari. Are you a PC or a Mac person?
I use a
Oh, okay. Test out a different browser.
What Chrome works.
So Chrome is owned by Google, and it's made to work with all of these products.
Yeah.
So I mean, if you plan on using Google Apps for education on a regular basis, you might as well start using Chrome. You know.
Instead of Mozilla. But like Blackboard, which one does that work best with? Mozilla or
It works pretty good with Chrome as well. We usually tell people to use Chrome if they have their students in Blackboard. Definitely stay away from Explorer. I mean, if that's still a thing.
Well, you still have to use that for something, or I do for a couple of things.
Yeah, Blackboard is notoriously bad with Explorer.
Well, anyways, it's just annoying you have to switch between browser, so I guess if I just switch to Chrome.
Do many of you experience like exhaustion at some point over all this stuff? Like which browser should you be using? Which windows should you be looking at? Like where should you keep all your stuff? Use Chrome all the time.
Yeah, that's what I was hoping to get out of this class, is how to go about an organizational system. Because this is just kind of, everything's scattered.
Part of it has to do with knowing how to control the interface here, like how to control what you see. Oops, that's my block, the other block. All right, people, help me out. What happened here? No, where's my little?
You've got to go back up to my drive.
There it is. I refreshed the page. When in doubt, refresh, and it appeared again. I don't know what happened here. So knowing how to switch between views, that's really helpful in terms of organization. If you're new to setting up your drive, if you're just now setting it up, I highly recommend making a decision about color scheme and sticking to that, and trying to come up with some systematic way to name files. Coming up with a systematic way to name files is important. I tend to think in keywords. A lot of people don't think like that. I prefer titling things with keywords, like Site Fellows is something that I've worked with a lot. And so that's why you see, it's a program we have up at the university, but that's why you see this folder is called Site, and almost everything in it has Site Fellows something something with some other keywords attached to it. The reason why I do that is because Google search inside of Google Drive is really good. For those of you who did not see Sean's 101 session, I didn't know this actually, I learned this from your session. I didn't realize that if I type in cat, that Google is using image recognition software to not only search for files that have the name cat in my title, but it's also looking for things that it recognizes as a cat. I don't know if I even have cats in here, but we're going to try this. So if I scroll down, you'll see that this image is not titled cat. It doesn't have cat anywhere in it, but it found this file, it found this photo because it thinks that this image looks a little like a cat, and indeed it does. I really did not know that. I'm totally shocked. I think that's awesome. Here's another thing I learned from Sean today. He's new to the team, by the way. I love it when the new guy always teaches us stuff. It's great. So apparently, oh wait, the right click isn't working. Wait, oh, I just disappeared. What did you say? Right click on it? Or no, open with. Why did it's not giving me the docs selection? All right, maybe that's not going to work.
Right click on it inside the drive.
Oh, inside the drive. Okay.
It has text.
I see. Okay. Oh, that's right. It has text. Okay. So see how this image has text in it, right? If you take a lot of handwritten notes, this might be good for you. I have a bunch of recipe files in here. I plan on doing this with this later. Apparently, if you right-click on the thumbnail version and say open with Google Docs, you found this by accident, right? Who would think to do this? Why would you open an image with Google Docs? Apparently, it will try to do optical character recognition. It's going to look for letters and try to translate any letters that it sees in the image and put it into the doc, which is what it must be doing right now, right?
Yeah, it takes a little bit. Just give it maybe 10 seconds.
So we're giving, this is the first time I've ever done this. This is like a test run. We'll see if this actually works.
Yeah.
So there's the image embedded in the doc. Look at that. I'm so amazed by that. So I plan on taking all of these handwritten recipe cards that I have stored in here. There are like, I don't know, 300 of them. I don't have time to go through and type all that stuff, but I'm going to try this and see if I can't actually get all of my family's recipes into a typewritten version rather than just image versions. Awesome.
Yes, why I would not use Drive as primary tool. It's because of all this. Somebody has made a choice of what it's going to look like.
Yep. It's not for everybody. I mean, that's the thing. You
I
know,
don't want it to do that.
Then I mean, don't use it. You know, I mean, it's not required. So. All right.
Yes. Can I go back real quick to that offline?
And
it's
it
a
doesn't-
download drive. Is that something that has to be enabled by the administrator?
Right.
That's a good question. It might be.
Because we're not, I'm
It
not
might
finding
be.
it on.
It might be. Can't think of a way around that. Yeah, they may have turned that off. It's been a while since I was in the admin panel of an education installation, so I'm not 100% sure if that's what's going on, but my guess is that that's what's happening.
I think one of the things that's interesting about this, just watching to me, is knowing that other people on the design team, if you go to any of our desks at work, they're all very different.
Yep.
Some of us have lots of stuff on top, some of us can put it easily away in the drawers. I'm sure you folks are all the same way. Online is the same, right? We all use these different, but the amount of power at your fingertips for creating systems to organize your stuff, depending on how much stuff you're dealing with, how many different projects you're involved with, that's really the tools that you can take advantage of here. It's really a tremendous amount of capacity.
So really my method of organizing my drive has been to color code things and to use keywords for titles. You may find a completely different organization system that works much more sort of in line with the way you think. So, yeah.
One thing, if I just do something in docs or sheets, it doesn't automatically put it in the drive.
It does.
It does.
So here's why that you might be seeing some confusion. So you're looking at my drive. I have a bunch of folders, and if I scroll down, I got a bunch of docs and a bunch of other stuff too, right? I can use my waffle to just look at my docs, and I get this view. Are many of you familiar with this view of docs? You see this sometimes, or this? Is this what you're more familiar with? So this is just a filtered version of Drive. So if you create a document, if I create a new document, it's going to be stored in my Drive automatically. It's going to dump it right into my Drive.
Okay. Can you go back there for just a second? You're at that. Ask me, this confused me so badly when I first came to this, because you have to go to the bottom right to start a new document.
Yeah.
And everything else in the computer will just top button to start a new thing.
Including a period.
Yeah.
At least it's red. I gotta give them that. You know what I mean? Like, at least it's red. I mean, if they had made it blue, I think I probably would have. I would have done it.
Is there an easier way to combine identities or different? Like I have someone that sends me shared documents to two different Google Drives, you know? So I'm looking for registration, then I look at the other one. And so I thought about going into one and all the things that related to what should have been work, I turn around and share them again if I have access to share them again. Is there a better way to combine two drives or?
So not to combine two drives, if I understand you correctly, so I can select multiple, say Janine has shared a bunch of documents with my personal account and with my work account. And it's like, really, Janine, why can't you just share them with my work account? Come on.
I drink too much.
So I'm going to go into my personal account and I'm going to select all those files that she's been sharing with my personal account. And the way that you do that, the way that you select multiple, you know how to select multiple documents at once. I hold the shift key down and then, okay. So select a whole bunch of them and then right click or do the little stoplight and share. You actually have to right click on that one. So click share and then share it with your work account. And then you can actually, once you've shared it with your work account, you can actually make your work account the owner. So I'm going to show you what that looks like. So let's say that Madera Mason is my work account. I'm going to send an invitation to that person. So it's outside, yes, it's fine. So now I've shared that. And if I go back in there, wrong document. Which one did I do that to you guys? Oh, it was all of them. Oh wait, advanced, okay. So, this is annoying too. Sorry, it's like once you get in deep enough, you start to realize the flaws. It's so great at first, and then it's like, oh, it's horrible. Click on that little advanced button, it's gonna pull open the list of people who have access. I can change, where is she? There's my supposed work account, and see how it says can't edit, but it's got a little triangle? I can say is owner, and I can make that person owner. So you would share with yourself, go back into the sharing menu, click advanced, and then make your work account the owner of those documents. Or just leave them shared. I mean, it doesn't really matter either way. in many respects, yeah.
I think that's kind of how I was trying to solve it, was just sharing them across. When I changed it in one, I changed it in all my identities as well as everybody else too. That's right. I think that's, it's fine. I think I get it, you know what I mean? So when I do change something, it is appropriately changing it between me and my personal self, and it's right. But I didn't know if there was an easier way.
Anytime I get frustrated with this stuff, I think back to sitting on my brother word processor and having to actually print things out on dot matrix printers. And I remember that it's not as good as it could be, but it's still pretty good.
Right.
Yeah. So can you actually link to the email accounts and have them be kind of the same drive? Because I have two work addresses, and sometimes people share it with the other one, which doesn't really even have a Google
That's
Drive.
kind of the same problem she's talking about. There's no real way to merge.
But that doesn't even really have a Google Drive to get into to do that.
So this is mega advanced, but you could use something called this, then that to automate the process, but that's like, I would need another 30
Okay.
minutes to show
All
you.
right.
But it could be done. I mean, it
I
could be
just
done.
asked people to reshare it with my husband.
If you have a Google Drive app on your Mac, I made a mistake, and I kind of got confused on which account it was done, so I'd have to go and open all a bunch of documents to decide which account. You cannot have two separate. I tried to label the folders different and trick it by holding down. Very successful.
So good, you tried all the right things.
I tried to
and yet-
trick it into having multiple identities that would. I think I'm just going to get rid of it because it's too.
I still have it on my computer, but I almost never use it. I really don't.
I find myself comparing to make sure it's same.
Yeah.
And
Because you can quit the app and it doesn't sync anymore. So, yeah. I don't know. I mean, once you get really comfortable with Drive, then try that out. For those of you who have not used this a lot. Oh, we're running up on time. Other questions that I can answer for you guys? I hope this was helpful. I hope I didn't hit too far over too many heads or talk down to too many people who already know all this stuff. I hope that I hit right in the middle well enough. There's a lot more to do. Please click buttons. Just click things and try things. Try sharing with your friends. Try sharing out to the public. Try undoing those shares and getting rid of them. Try everything you can, every possible combination you can think of. Start uploading folders into your drive. Just because you upload them into Google Drive, they don't disappear from your hard drive. So you can upload all kinds of stuff and not have to worry about it being deleted. So just upload stuff into your drive, play around with it, see what happens, you know? Okay, thanks you guys.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. One more session to go, right? We're almost done.
Yes, it's my session.
Are you here tonight?
I am here.
Okay.